Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. But first, we're going to start with a tarot card. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to flip through. We're going to stop, and we have the Five of Wands. So we have that strife card. Sagittarius, I'm setting it down real quick. Get away from me. No. The Five of Wands is not a negative card. I know that sometimes we look at the word at the bottom, at least on the Thoth deck, and we think, oh no. First of all, we got a 5. Second of all, it says strife. Okay. Not necessarily a bad thing. What this could mean, and what this often means, in my opinion, is that whatever that we are doing in our life, whatever we are putting our time, effort, passion, whatever it is, there is some kind of imperfection. There's something there that either needs to get, kind of refined, tightened up. It needs to be left behind, or maybe you need to focus more on this aspect. And when we get this card, this is kind of like the universe telling us, hey, there is a sense of disharmony here. There's a sense of something not feeling quite right. And this is an opportunity for us to get that thing fixed right up. So I'm feeling good about this. I do. I rather know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm a person that rather, just, you know what I mean? Just, let me see what this is so I can decide, if I'm going to, go ahead with it, if I'm going to, abandon this old thing and, get on to the next. You know what I'm saying? It's better to know I say that, and then at the same time, I'm there's some things I just don't, whatever. If I don't see it, if I don't hear about it, whatever. But that's the Virgo in me, for sure. Now, Sagittarius, I'm so happy to be here with you today. It's always such a great pleasure. The world is, in chaos as it always is. But we're here together. We're going to get through this dang old thing together. I know that sometimes it just feels like it's all a little bit, too much, that we can't do anything, that we're helpless in this greater, discord or the chaos of the world, both socially and otherwise. But the reality is that, in these times, I think, at least for people like myself, it's a good time to be focusing on getting the things in my own life kind of together, right? In contrast to what seems like completely out of my control, what I can control in my own personal life, in my own interior, this is where work needs to be done. And this is where I can focus my attention and feel that I am actually doing something. Because ultimately, and I am a very superstitious person and maybe a little bit of a romantic, but I do believe that we are all so interconnected that so often we think that we need to change the world by going out into the world and doing all these things to to change things. And yeah, that work needs to be done for sure. But there are other ways, and sometimes more important ways, in my opinion, and that is through self-work. And that is through, coming into a place of healing and understanding and greater empathy and ultimately, love and agape. And so often we look for that out there when in reality we can affect the collective very deeply by working on self, working on family, working on, our close and intimate connections in this world. So anyways, let's get started. I know. I go on. I have a lot to say. I know. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just some lady out here trying to figure it out like everybody else. Okay, so we start with, it looks like the letters CA right here, CA, and I almost am seeing, I almost am thinking that this is, for some reason, the name Kathy. We have the Y's up here, and the little T here, and I just am seeing this like C-A-T, and there's maybe an H. Maybe this is the H right here. I don't know, but I'm getting called to the name Kathy. Now, Kathy can also be with a K, of course, but this feels like it could be Cat as well. It's just, it feels like, almost like when I hear it, it's like a whisper on the wind. I don't think it's super core to your life, but I do feel like there's somebody that you have some engagement with, or you have at some point, maybe through work. I don't know why I'm getting like an office-y vibe. Maybe the name Kathy reminds me of like working in an office or something. And every Kathy I've known has been a wonderful person. Let me just say that as well. I have an Aunt Kathy that's amazing. I haven't talked to her in many, many years. But she, if anybody in my family ever listens to this, which I'm sure they don't, but if she ever hears this, I want you to know, Aunt Kathy, I've always loved you and always, always had a great fondness for you and a great respect as well. So there's that. Okay. So we have this feeling of a young feminine energy right in here and right on the rim of the cup, okay, as it folds over there. And this to me is like an entering the picture kind of energy. Now, we also have what looks like a fireplace or a hearth. We also have what it looks like a bowl or a teacup or some kind of vessel, okay, for the sacred waters right there, okay? So I feel that this is a real, it's like that princess energy where I almost think that you have been wanting to start something, to begin learning something for a long time. I don't know if it's like right on the nose, like cooking, but I almost feel like there are all these different elements that kind of have to come together, and you have to learn each one, and then you mix them and they go through their processes, very alchemical, right? And I feel like that's kind of maybe at times the thing that has stopped you from endeavoring into learning how to maybe not master, but to be very proficient in this skill set, in this hobby, in this passion. You could be doing so many, I mean, it could be like fixing a car, you could be doing woodwork, you could be, running a company. I mean, it feels something that's like, it's not a simple, I'm learning how to, like, this last year, I spent time learning how to whittle wood, right? Like carve wood, basically. No, it's not easy, and I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to say it's easy. I have a lot of respect for people who are, it's a craft. It takes time to learn. But it's not as complex as, like, learning how to build an engine, for instance. Now, they both have their, their trials and tribulations and merits and all of that. But yeah, one is probably a little more complex than the other, right? So the thing that you're doing is not like a whittling thing. This is like a complex, multi-dimensional, having to not just learn one skill set, but maybe a few different things so that you can put all of this together. Okay, now you have that young feminine energy. So you have the intuition that is very potent. Now, you might not always understand it. You might not always, know that, okay, I'm starting to feel this, whatever is rising in me. What does this have to do with? I think that you're learning some of this, okay? You're learning to hear yourself and this is the big thing. Especially, I know we're talking about this feminine energy. You might not be somebody who identifies as a feminine person or was raised as a feminine person, or you grew up as a woman or a girl or feminine or whatever, right? But I will say that if you were, and I'm generalizing, but I would say, anecdotally anyways, from my experience and from witnessing many women over the years, right? We are taught that when we have an instinct, that oftentimes we're overreacting, or we're jealous, or we're misinterpreting, or we're imagining things. I'm sure you heard all of this in your life at some point, maybe many times, especially if you have a strong sense of intuition. Younger feminine energies, and we know this about children especially, they don't have all the hang-ups and the barriers and the conditioning and the, disruptions to their thinking like we do as adults, because it's been conditioned out of us, because we've trained ourselves not to trust ourselves, right? So this energy coming into this work, potent, very important. It's like having an open flame. It's all over the place. Now, you are learning to control it, but you don't want to dim it down so far that you can't use it. So, learning whatever it is that you are learning, but also reminding yourself your fiery desire, your lust, your strength, the thing that just is pulling you into this, and you're inspired and you're picking up on pattern recognition faster than you usually would, and all these kinds of things. Remind yourself, this is a gift from the universe. You are the captain of your own destiny. And when you merge this potential with your ability and your strength, get out of here. The world better watch out, because you are building something that is magnificent, Sagittarius. So I see this as being the time for you. You are building something that is going to feed the core of your life. This will be that fire in the middle of all the things, right? The thing that's keeping your house warm. The thing that's keeping you warm. When your socks get wet and cold and life is terrible, you come in, you take them off, you put them on the side of the fire and you let them dry. Then you put them on and they're nice and toasty, right? So this is a wonderful, wonderful rise for you. I feel like this is going to be something that it's not unexpected in that like it falls into your lap kind of deal. But it is something that I don't think that you let yourself believe. Right? You're not sitting around saying, oh, I'm going to get that. I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to be, whatever. But I see you kind of almost like, the wind has changed and you're like, oh, here's my opportunity to start with this thing, and you get in there and you start to really, really get with it. Start to get fired up. Start to really commune with the creative side of this, with the growth, not growth, but the building of the thing, right? And I feel like Yeah, it's going to be one of those life-changing years for you. 100%. I do not doubt it. Quote me on that. Okay, so we have boy. B-O-Y. Boy. We have a person here beneath the moon. We also have, it looks like a sailboat, maybe a couple sailboats out here. We have two people standing here, one here, and then over here another person who is kind of like running out in front of them. There's a house here, you can see. And it almost reminds me of like, not scarecrows, but like birds sitting on a fence. Kind of a... I don't know, like an American Gothic kind of feeling. And then up here I see people playing, like ice skating, one here, another person, like chasing each other. So I feel like we have a little bit of a story here. This seems to be in the past. Okay, where we have the person standing here, they're looking out beneath the moon at all these boats that are kind of out, out at sea. And there seems to be almost this feeling of being left behind. I think that probably you were somebody who maybe had like a dream of leaving after school and, going out in the big, brave world and doing your thing and never coming back and all that. And I feel like probably you did. You ended up staying in the town or the area that you kind of grew up in, or you returned, and I feel like to some degree this caused a time where you had a little bit of I don't know, disillusion about things. Maybe you just kind of were felt stuck. You weren't really doing a lot. At least that's what you perceived. And maybe, at times really comparing yourself to other people. And I'm just going to say that. I feel like that's the big thing here, is that a lot of the torment of your life has been comparing, right? So then we move up here. We have three people all together. We have two that stay behind and another that moves forward. So then I think at some point, maybe you were like the first one to get married or have kids or, get a little more serious about life and settle down and all of that. I feel like, at this time in your life, you maybe look back and you think, I've been like a mom, I've been a wife, a husband, a family person, for a lot of years, whatever that looks like, if you got married or not, if you had kids or not. I feel like you really kind of tried to settle down and do that whole thing. And honestly, I think you're probably still doing it to some degree. Now, you might be divorced, or your kids might be, grown up and out of the house, and you're kind of in this space where you're trying to figure it out. But I feel like all of this, which at times maybe you look at and you think, I've wasted my life. And I don't mean to put that on you or speak for you, but I think we all have moments where we're like, bro, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I chose, And I'm not saying it's true, that there's any truth in our lament. But I have those days 100%. There are days where I see my friends that, I used to paint with, or, I would, travel around and go to shows with, and they're still out there kind of doing similar stuff and have gotten famous or, whatever. And I think, man, did I sell out? Did I do the family thing? And at the same time, I've never been so blessed, right? You know what I mean? But still, those irrational places in your head where it's like, bro, what if I was like 45, still doing merch tables and going to shows, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking bad about that lifestyle. I'm sure it is fun still at 45. But, it's easy to look at other people's stuff and be like, that's what I should have done. Or why did I leave that lifestyle? Or, whatever. I feel like that, yeah, maybe you've been a person in the past. Now, let me just say this. I want to emphasize this. In the past where, yeah, you have compared yourself a lot, and it has been very limiting for you at times. Because every moment we spend lamenting stuff that's, we wish we had, we should have done, stuff that's not real, right? It's not real. We are breathing life into it, first of all. Second of all, wasting our time, right? You could be doing anything else instead of worrying about what you used to do or what you should have done, or you could have done. What can we do? What should we be doing right now? What can I be doing right now? What could I possibly be building for the future? What foundation could I be laying down? What words, thought viruses can I be planting in my head that are going to positively impact me? This is where all that positive self-talk and, what's it called? Transcendental meditation and mantras and, magical utterances and all these kinds of things. That's where all of it, this is where it begins. This is when we start to realize we create our own reality based on where we're spending our mental powers, right? Where are we dwelling? What kinds of things are we telling ourselves, So, I really feel like you are coming into the place in your life where things are starting to make sense for you. Maybe you've never felt like you were winning. I was never on top. I was never the one. I was never picked. I was never, I never won the raffle ticket or whatever, I worked hard, but it never got recognized in any special way, that kind of thing. And then suddenly you're finding things that speak to your authentic being. You are building in your life something that you are passionate about. And everything begins to change for you. Everything begins to change for you. So we have the letters TC. It could be a name, TC. And I feel like, and honestly, I just kind of, because I understand this feeling so well. We have a person here with their hands up on their ears. There's also a heart. We have a person over here who looks like they're playing a saxophone, but not in a fun way because their head is drooped over. We got a Chet Baker type of sad boy over here. And we have the eye, we have the arrow, and I see the faucet, and it's almost, I just keep hearing this, you just have negative people in your life. Really, you have some negative people in your life. Whenever you're around them, which it feels like you are fairly often, it's just always complaining and what's wrong with the world, and never anything about being proactive or what we can do. It's just this constant complaining, cynical, nihilistic, which listen, I'm I'm definitely like that sometimes myself too. I'm not trying to, judge anybody in their disposition. If you ask my husband, he would say this lady is often very negative. I can find the problem in anything if I really want to. But I think for you, there's like a conscious choice to get away from it because it weighs you down so heavily. I feel like that's like the big thing here is like, I'm just not doing this anymore. Now, we also have, it looks like, again with the, like HC maybe? We have the rooster singing a song. We have the heart again. The number 7. The letter P. Hug. That's what I'm keep seeing is H-U-G, hug. So I feel like there's this like kind of like a little tip of the hat towards like you do really well in crisis. When things get bad, like you're really good at stabilizing and like you're really good at like being very clear-minded, precise, doing the things that you need to do. But it's when things start to get good that alarms start going off in your head. Like, it's like when you make some money and then all of a sudden you become like this like wild miser because you're like, I'm not gonna lose my money. Don't look at my coins, like you turn into a Scrooge, you know what I mean? Not everybody, but I would say probably most people do. Even if you're sitting here saying like, I would never be like that, bro, come on now. You know what I mean? You like make a quick milli. You might think that you're going to be like, everybody eats, but it's not always like that. Sometimes it really does affect you in a way that you did not suspect would happen, right? And so I feel like for you, this about yourself that like when stuff starts getting good and you're like thriving and that's when the old stick comes out. You're like riding your bike and you just shove it into your own spoke. You know what I mean? Like right in the tire. Why? Why do we do that? I don't know, but I do it too. I do it before I'm even doing well. I'm like on the ground already and I'm already trying to stick the stick in the thing to destroy myself. Like it makes no sense, right? So I feel like in this time being very acutely aware of it, proactively working against it. Yes. And here's the big one, the self-doubt. That's going to be it. The self-doubt. That I don't deserve this. What am I even doing? This isn't any good. I am embarrassed about it. I don't want to put myself out. All the stuff. All the stuff that we tell ourselves. No. None of that. Do not indulge it. I was just talking to one of my friends about disrupting our thought loops, right? And this is one of those places where when you start having those sneaking attacks of self-doubt, of like belittling the work that you're doing, you better get in there and yes, change it. The one for me right now that's really accessible is cold. When I'm starting to feel any type of way, you better believe this lady, I take off my sweatshirt, I go outside, and I stand there in the cold, cold, cold. It's very cold where I'm at. I live on the tundra. So, 10 degrees, whatever, somewhere in there. I go stand out there, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe sometimes less. But it changes how I feel because I'm cold. It changes the temperature of my body. It disrupts my thinking. And then I have that little tiny, thing in the door that I can get through to change it. to get distracted with something else, to start doing something else, to implement another line of thinking. So, you know, not for nothing, but these kinds of things, they do help. And I'm not making them up. These are scientific, baby. 93. First lucky number is 39. It was 39, right? Did I say that backwards? 93. I was trying to do 93s. It was 39, I think. 23. 23. 90. 90. All right, Sagittarius, I love you. Please take care of yourself. Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You are worth, well, the whole universe, right? You are the universe, and the universe is you. So be good to yourself, right? If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, again, I want to say I love you. We'll talk soon. Good night.